Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, my name is Tambria Bradford, and I am an academic counselor for the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. I work in the Student Athlete Academic Center, and I will be one of the presenters today for our college readiness, the secrets to preparing for college success, along with my co-host, who can go ahead and introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shanika Mungeon. I am the Associate Director of Student Athlete Academic Services here at Florida State University. And that's a fancy title, but what I do every day is I am a learning specialist. And so I work one-on-one with student athletes who we have identified need academic support and kind of help them navigate through college life. So a lot of what I do every day is college readiness. So happy to be here with you all and to share kind of what we see at our universities and in our offices with you, so you'll be ahead of the game.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shanika. So before we get into the presentation, I did want to give a little bit of background to everyone. We will frequently say N4A, that's the National Association of Academic and Student Athlete Development Professionals, and we are members of the Ethnic Concerns Committee. We are charged with identifying the challenges and concerns that face our ethnic minority students, and then looking for ways to assist those student athletes as they progress through their college careers. And one thing that we've started to notice is that students need these tools prior to attending their university. So we thought that this would be an amazing opportunity to reach out to multiple students across the regions of the United States to give you the opportunity to ask questions and to just get a little bit of insight to make sure that you're, like Shanika said, ahead of the game. So the goals for today's workshop are to first break down the differences between high school and college, what you're learning, how you're learning it, the important things that you need to pay attention to when you enter those college courses, whether it be the information or the skills you need to organize yourself or manage your time, things that are critical to your success that impact your performance as a student athlete when it comes to the classroom, and then just talking about how you can work through the challenges that student athletes face on a day-to-day basis, and again, be more properly prepared.
Okay, so part of college readiness is understanding that college is not high school. It's a versus, right? High school is on one level, and I always tell my student athletes, you know, we're taking it to the next level. What got you here won't get you there. So what may have worked and been successful for you on the high school level is different with success, and looks different on the college level. So just want to talk a little bit with you today about the differences between high school and college. So this is high school. What does high school look like? Your teachers and your parents really help you to organize a lot of your time. It's very structured. You start early in the morning, maybe 7:30, and you are in class back to back to 5, 6. You may be on block schedule now because of COVID, but you are going to class consecutively, and then you're out of class. And once you get out of class, then you practice one time a day, right? You may have a Saturday practice or something like that, or a team meal, but all you're doing is going to school and then you're going to practice. So you're able to study in your own time, on your leisure time. You have a lot more space in your time in the high school level. So you're basically in class in high school for 25 to 30 hours a week. And your teachers are prompting you. Your teachers are reminding you, don't forget about this in chapter 3, study for quiz 7 tomorrow. There's a lot of reminders. You're seeing folks on a constant basis. So you've kind of got this sense of community within your classes, but it's very different on the college level. You get the opportunity. You can always see your family Thanksgiving, if you would like, Thanksgiving and Christmas. You've got these large breaks, you've got the weekends, you've got movies with your friends. So with high school, most of your academic time is going to be spent at the school. And that's very different from college, which some students may get hung on or caught up on a little bit. College. In order to be ready and prepared for college, you've got to understand that you have to balance responsibilities and priorities. You've got to prioritize what's most important to you as an incoming student athlete. And I think Tambria is going to talk a little bit about you got to pick two, right? You can't be great at everything. You've got to understand why you're at the university and really focus in on why you're there. So in high school, it was every day. You went to Algebra 2 every day. In college, if you're in a math course, you may go to it twice a week, 3 times a week even. And in between those other days, you've got to prepare your study time. Class may be 50 minutes, class may be an hour and 15 or an hour and 30 minutes. And even some classes you only go to once a week. And so you've got to build in that study time into your schedule to really get the most out of the class. In college, your teacher is going to give you a syllabus. The syllabus is going to outline everything that you have for the week, for the semester really, and what you have week to week. And sometimes we're used to, coming out of the high school setting, we are used to reminders. We're used to teachers saying, don't forget, don't forget. But in college, the teacher's like, hey, I gave you the document. It may be posted on your Canvas. They may have handed you a hard copy, but once they give you that document, they expect for you to read it and follow it to the letter. College professors do not like answering questions that they've already discussed in their syllabus. They will say to you, have you read the syllabus? And hopefully your answer is yes, but I did not see it. But we make sure that the syllabus is our go-to, it's our guide, and it's our map for all college courses. You've got to be accountable with your time. Procrastination sometimes gets the best of our student athletes. And you've got to remember, I think Tambria is going to talk about it in a second, so I don't want to jump her, but you're used to practicing once a day. Sometimes in college, there's a lift and there's a practice and there's a meeting. There's a lift, a meeting, and a practice, and mentoring or tutoring in addition to classwork. So time management is essential in really planning out how you're going to study and when you're going to study, because a lot of, in high school, your teachers are, they create lesson plans. They are trying to get you to understand certain concepts and certain benchmarks, and they have prepared, your teachers have gone through college prep to learn how to teach. College professors are typically researchers. They are very sharp, smart individuals, but sometimes not necessarily excellent in terms of teaching and understanding how different learning styles work. And so you've got to know your own learning style, and we'll touch on that a little bit later, but you've got to know how to work independently and plan out what your day is going to look like. That's high school. This is college. You've got to be sure to prepare for what's next and what's coming.
One of the key things that you have to pay attention to, like Shanika said, is deciding what you're going to prioritize. So in the next couple of slides, I'm just going to give 2 examples of a day in the life of a student athlete. This just includes, like Shanika mentioned, the day-to-day things. So the first one I've placed up here is a track and field / cross-country student athlete. As you can see, they start at 5:30 a.m. with strength and conditioning. So again, a difference between high school and college is you don't just practice one time. So they've got strength and conditioning, then they've got to get ready for class, eat, and go to class. One of the toughest things to do as a college student, aside from even being an athlete, is to remember to eat. and take care of yourself. And so it's very important that you prioritize both your health and your academics as an athlete in order to continue to be successful. I like to tell my students, like, you don't put sand in a gas tank, or you don't try to fill a gas tank with air and drive down the road. You're not going to get anywhere. So you have to fuel your body, which includes resting and having time to prepare to eliminate the amount of stress and anxiety that you place on yourself. So again, strength and conditioning in the morning, but then again, practice in the afternoon, treatment after that, dinner after that, study after that. And it will depend on your major and your course load, but you may have to plug in some additional times to study. Academic planning and prioritizing are key to success as a student athlete. The next type of schedule I'll show you is a football student athlete. So this student athlete does weightlifting from 7 to 8, has breakfast / a quick snack before their classes. One thing to be reminded of is that college classes are not the same every day. As Shanika mentioned, you may be in class for an hour, it may be an hour and a half, it could be 2 hours depending on what course it is. And the number of times that you go to the class during the week may vary. So your day-to-day schedule will not always be the same. Monday and Thursday will not always look the same. So it's going to be critical that you pay attention to your time demands so that you can properly prepare for what you have during the week. So again, taking charge of your time, being in the know, and just planning ahead is going to be absolutely critical to making sure that you have the tools you need to be successful. Shanika mentioned course syllabi. If you look at the graphic here, it's so funny to me, but a lot of students will ask a professor, what's the policy? When is this due? And instructors are not going to explain. On our campus, there's an instructor who wears a t-shirt the first 2 weeks of classes that says it's in the syllabus. So one of the first things that you have to pay attention to are your syllabi for each class. It's basically a contract with your instructor. It tells you how you will be graded, what the important due dates are, the attendance policy, and a lot of times it's going to be your roadmap for success in that course. So when you receive that syllabus, if it's a hard copy, do not lose it. Take a picture of it if you need to. Write down all those important dates in whatever form of time management plan that you use, and keep it together so that you kind of know what's happening next week and next month. Yes, things can change, but if you have that initial layout, it'll help you to properly prepare. You want to keep that crown, right? You want to stay on top of it, and you don't want to find yourself kind of blowing in the wind or scattered because you can't remember what date the final exam is for a course, or even if there is a final exam. So reviewing that syllabus regularly is going to be one of the things that you need to keep in mind.
Yeah, I love that graphic on the last slide, Tambria, kind of the X's and the O's, right? It's a game plan. And the syllabus kind of outlines the game plan, but you've got a part to do as well as the student in college, as the student athlete. And that's really knowing how you learn. How do you retain that information? Now, when you come to us, when you come to our universities and you're in student athlete academic services, we will try and help you to discover in the event that you don't know. A lot of times in high school, and I love talking to my student athletes about it, they're like, well, you know, my college professor, they gave me a study guide, but I have to write everything in. I have to fill it all out. They just gave me, you know, some concepts. What kind of study guide is this? I was like, well, it's a college study guide, right? So in high school, sometimes we're used to these study guides that look a lot like the test, but that won't be the case on the college level, right? They'll just say, make sure you look at these concepts and you're prepared for this, for the test. That's the college study guide. So really understanding how you learn, how you retain information, and how you can help yourself to remembering and being able to apply a lot of the concepts. Not to get too technical, but I talk a lot in my study strategies course about Bloom's taxonomy. And students are used to memorizing, remembering, and understanding, kind of those bottom tiers of of learning. But in college, your teachers are really going to push you to evaluate, to analyze, and to work, kind of design and create, and to work on those higher functionings of thinking and those levels of thinking. And so it's really important that we're not just memorizing stuff. Flashcards are good for vocabulary, but you can't just go into a college test expecting to know the vocabulary terms and ace the test, right? You have to know the vocabulary, but you also have to be able to apply those terms and use it in a way, or apply it to a scenario. And so these are a lot of quick tips, ways you may already know, you may highlight often, you may use flashcards even now, but do you understand the importance of not studying in a loud area, or studying in your bed, or laying down when you're on your laptop? And just understand, like, hey, if you're going to sleep when you get on the laptop in the bed, then maybe we need to try to retain and study in a different type of environment. So really understanding how you learn, locking in on that. And if you need help and you're not retaining information, then guess what? That's great. As a student athlete, you've got an academic counselor, you have an advisor, you have a learning specialist, you have people at your disposal. You've got resources that can help you to make sense of what's going on in your classes. So using your resources and understanding how you learn is going to be essential to being college ready.
And before we move on, Shanika, there's one thing you made me think of. One thing I like to tell my students in their first year course is that you transition from high school to college from being a passive to an active learner. So in high school, it is the teacher's responsibility to ensure that you have learned the information. They are evaluated using standardized testing, using their professional evaluations with administrators on if you are retaining the information that they provide. They are held accountable for if you pass or fail, making sure that you are remediated if necessary, just again, making sure you have all the material you need. So you're a passive learner, you're just there to receive. When you enter the college arena, you become an active learner. It is your responsibility to go out and get the information. The instructors are there as a resource. They provide the information, but it becomes action oriented on your part, because you have to seek out that additional information that you need. If you don't understand a concept, it becomes your responsibility to find another way to interpret the material, be that tutoring or other academic support, or meeting with the instructor one-on-one, preparing questions before you go to class. So those things are going to be critical also in how you are able to retain that material and be successful in those courses. Next, we're going to transition to another thing that can impact your college success, and that's your team travel. Okay, so obviously as a student athlete, you will travel. So previously I showed you a schedule of two different types of student athletes, what they do on a day-to-day basis. But what I did not include in those examples was the fact that you will miss class. That is a real thing. And you can miss as few as 7 classes, you could miss 14. And so what's going to be critical is, again, referencing that syllabus and then communicating with your instructors. Most universities have some type of communication structure in place for their student athletes, where they're letting instructors know the student will be traveling with their sport these days. This is when they will return, but it's still up to you, again, taking that active role to communicate with your instructors and to know what's going on in your academic world. Every student athlete's schedule will not be the same. So looking at that syllabus and planning ahead, so that if you're traveling with your team and there's an assignment due when you're going to be out, you determine if you can turn it in early. Talking to the instructor before the semester has even gotten really started. So that first day of class, introducing yourself, letting them know how valuable your academics is to you, and asking them their preferred methods of communication, if it's not in the syllabus already. And then asking them how they would like for you to meet deadlines if you have to travel. Some instructors want you to take quizzes and exams and tests before you leave. Some are all right with you taking them when you return, but those are things that you can ask during the first few days of classes when they're saying to you, does anyone have questions? So don't be afraid to raise your hand, ask a question. Don't be afraid to go to office hours, because there are no just, oh, I have an excuse, but I didn't tell you that I was going to be out. You have to think of college as how you would address a job. So if you're going to miss work, you normally notify your boss beforehand that you're going to be out so that they can make arrangements for anything that they were going to place on your plate of responsibility. So as a student athlete, you want to notify your professors in advance whenever possible that you're going to be out so that they can tell you what they would like for you to do to make up that work, or what they would like for you to do early, or if they're going to eliminate it from your points at all, and you just have to double on something else later. So those things are going to be critical, knowing that for yourself, for your courses. This is a team travel schedule for a volleyball tournament. Again, this is not the I don't want to say it's the same for everyone, but this is something that can happen in the realm of student athletes traveling with their team. So this particular team traveled on a Monday and they competed on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday, and they returned on a Friday. So if you can see here, they have time built in for everything. It's all scheduled out. A lot of the coaches will designate study hall time. One thing that Shanika mentioned was when you get ready to study, knowing how you learn is going to help you study more effectively, because laying on the bed in the hotel room and you're falling asleep, you're not going to retain that information. You may need to go down to the lobby and study. Some teams will even designate a meeting room in a hotel for their study hall times. But if you notice, it's only an hour. And a lot of times you will need more than an hour. So you may have to look at some different methods or look at some additional break times you may have to study. And as this team progresses through the week, you notice they have games on 2 days. The other 2 days, they have to study and they have practices. So again, your sport can start to take up a lot of time. But what is critical is that you look at your time demands and make the sacrifices that need to be made. For example, this volleyball team, this happens a lot in the fall, but in the spring semester, they have a lot more time for academics. So another thing that is critical is going to be academic planning. And those are things you'll be able to do with your academic advisors and counselors. One thing that we do with our student athletes is if you are in a major that is very math and science heavy, we look at the time demands of your sport and we take into consideration what you feel your strengths are academically, and we try to create as balanced a schedule as possible. So we're not going to put you in microbiology, organic chemistry, and calculus in the same term if we're able to do so. And if we're able to split up those classes and help you maintain balance, one thing you have to do as that active learner is step up and study and prepare as much as possible when you're dealing even with a schedule such as this one. And again, if you notice, there's always something that says study hall. So most campuses have something called study hall, and it's usually going to take place in a computer lab or an area that is a quiet facility where the academic support staff are located. And when you attend study hall, you have the opportunity to interact with your support staff, be it a mentor, a learning specialist, a tutor, or you may just be studying. And usually sports will have assigned days or times that they do this, but you can't just limit yourself to that time. Again, you're looking at your entire picture and you're thinking of what it's going to take for me to be successful as an individual. The next thing that is really critical is organizational skills. So this ties directly into that plan I had on that previous slide. The more you're able to plan ahead, the better. Prior planning prevents poor performance. And so whatever strategy you use, it is critical that you identify it early on. I am a planner person. So I like planner, I like to-do lists. And so I write everything down because I get so much satisfaction out of checking a box to say that it's completed. It makes my day seem so much more productive. But everyone does not like planners. Some people like to keep to-do lists and reminders. They utilize apps. But whatever you need to stay organized, just try to identify what works for you, similar to the way you want to identify the way that you learn. So if you like to keep all of your course materials in one notebook, maybe you have dividers or folders within that notebook to keep that material organized. Maybe you use, again, those checklists to prioritize what you're doing in classes. And I know this seems kind of funny, this third bullet, make friends, but yes, find your people, find your people, and they don't have to be athletes. Expand your network, because when you're out of class, if you find your people, then you can call them and say, hey, I was out, I missed class, do you have the notes so I can compare what I read in the textbook, because you should be reading your textbook, to what the instructor may have covered during class. Make friends with people, don't be afraid to communicate. A lot of courses that I have noticed lately will have a group me. Get on the group me, communicate, ask people questions, go to study groups. Again, expand your network outside of the realm of athletics. Yes, your time is going to be very tight, but any opportunity you have to communicate with other individuals in your courses, in your major, anytime you have an opportunity to communicate with your instructor, take advantage of that. If you have learning differences, utilize the resources that are available on your campus. Remember, there's nothing wrong with asking for help, and it doesn't mean anything about you intellectually when you go to someone for additional support. As a matter of fact, it shows that you have the self-awareness to say, this is not my strength, I need help. And if you utilize all the resources that you have available on campus and you learn to prioritize your tasks and stay organized, you'll find that your stress and anxiety will decrease significantly. Again, time management and planning, working ahead, those are things that are going to be critical to making sure you're successful in that classroom. Last but not least, the give me points. Again, we're going to reference the syllabus over and over because it is the roadmap for success in every one of your classes. So go to class first and foremost. Excuse me. There are a lot of instructors who give participation points, and by participation, you may just need to show up. Just be there. You can be exhausted, but stay awake, stay engaged, and be there. Be present. Sometimes there are pop quizzes based on the readings. These are things that you can do on your own. So if your instructor is giving quizzes based off parts of the chapter, you don't have to be in class to read the chapter. You can do that on your own. So even as a student athlete, if you were traveling last week, but you read the syllabus and you know chapter 14 is going to be covered on the day you return, you can still read chapter 14 so that you're prepared to stay engaged in the course discussion, as well as any pop quizzes that may come about. And this third bullet is so huge. Extra credit opportunities. If an instructor gives extra credit, I don't care if you feel you have a 99.9, do it anyway. Get in the habit of taking advantage of every opportunity that's offered to you. Um, you want to make sure you do all of your assignments first and foremost, but also do all of the extra credit. Sometimes your effort can get you bumped from an 89.4 to a 90. And that's going from a B to an A. So complete all assignments no matter what, and then take advantage of extra credit opportunities. If you happen upon instructors who do not offer extra credit, don't be surprised. All instructors do not believe in extra credit at the college level. And if you are brave enough to ask for extra credit, make sure that you have done the other work before, because instructors' mindset is, if I'm going to give you extra work, which will require extra work for me, I want to know that you've put in an effort on the original assignments that were provided. So again, any opportunity you have to interact and communicate with the instructor, take advantage of that. Take advantage of going to class and being present and make sure you're doing every assignment, even the extra ones, if you are able to do so. So here are our takeaways. Shanika talked to us and did a great job about the differences between high school and college. But the biggest thing to do to prepare yourself for that difference is to prepare mentally. So thinking through things, these things are going to be different for me. These things are what I struggle with. So let me look for strategies now so that I'm prepared for the future. Stay true to yourself and how you learn. Don't feel that you are inadequate because you have to ask for help. Just remember that is your biggest strength, is identifying your weaknesses. So knowing what you are not as great at is going to help you to be better at that thing. And then remember that your syllabi are your lifeline. They're the roadmap. They have all the answers usually. And if they don't, they tell you where you can find the answers. So once you do that and you're prepared, make sure when you enter those courses that you are managing your time properly. If you are a procrastinator, no judgment here. However, learn how to not procrastinate. If that's tough for you, start off small. You can start now. Set goals for yourself. Even if it's something simple you have to do at home, and try not to wait until the last minute to do it. Because once you start to do things, it turns into a habit, and you want to break yourself of being a procrastinator. And you must find balance. And if you are able to find that balance, again, the anxiety, the stress that students often encounter in their first few years or sometimes their entire college career, they will decrease significantly because you've taken the time to think things through and to prepare. You know what needs to be done. You know yourself. Keep getting to know yourself. And the more that you understand how you learn and what your stressors are, what works best for you and what doesn't, you'll be able to continue to find that balance. And that equates to a higher level of academic success. Shanika, did you have anything else?
No, I think you did an excellent job with the takeaways from today.
Okay, so at this time, we would open the floor to questions, discussion, and feedback. And if we don't have any questions, we ask that each participant and each person that views this would take the time to complete the feedback survey link. And that way we'll know how we can best serve you in the future. And again, we want to thank you for joining us. It has been truly a pleasure. Again, my name is Tambria Bradford from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and my co-host.
And I am Shanika Mungeon, again from Florida State University. And if you, as you're watching, you have some questions pop up in your mind, there is a place for you on the feedback form to add that question, and someone from our team will get back to you.
All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.